Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and I've got a reel I can't service. How's that? It's been a while, but Dick in Philadelphia, he sent me one, asked me if I would take a look at it. It does have an issue, and we'll go through why I can't service it, but it's on me. It doesn't mean that the reel can't be serviced, it just means it can't be serviced by me. Let's start with this one. So this is a Hardy reel. It's called the Altex. It was made in England. This is a very valuable reel, so we're going to start with that as the first premise here, if you will. This reel is selling well above $100, and if I don't know what I'm doing, or if I fear that there's a risk in something, well, the risk sometimes is not worth the reward. So here's the issue with it. It's bottoming out. You can hear a knocking going on in there. Most of the time it's on the bottom, but sometimes it's not, which means that we have something that's either a broken tooth or a skip or something going on in this reel. And that's, I'm sure, what Dick had wanted to do. Very interesting reel. It's a solid case. I'd like to know how they manufactured a solid case, but they did. It almost looks like a kind of like a Bic cigarette lighter. There's a solid, no seams, no removal part. There are access points here that do allow you to remove certain pieces, like the side badge, 2 screws. There's a screw up here. I believe that's the anti-reverse dog. There's an oil port here. The main stem is held in place on the main gear by a nice bronzed ferrule. There's a couple down here which have to do with the oscillation gear, but overall it looks to be an aluminum case, and it's well, it's completely fabbed. So let me show you what I learned so far. Let me tell you why I can't service this reel, and well, let's see what the lessons learned from this one are. Well, this reel has been around a while, and I actually found on the internet the correct method of stripping and building up the Altex reel. My first problem is it's written in English. Oh, ha ha ha, right? We speak American here, and well, there's just some interesting little bit of things here that just you have to kind of translate into having it not be set the way that we would set it. For example, one of the things that I guess we would call an anti-reverse, they would call a drum check carrier or something to that effect. Well, such as it is. So you can see there's a sticking point. It comes in a couple of different places, which makes me think that it is a gear. So let's take a look at how you would service this to the extent that I can decipher those instructions, and we'll show you where it goes or falls apart for me, why I can't do it. And let's not rule out lack of nerve. That's one of these here. I don't know if I would be completely comfortable, even if I had the tools needed to service this reel, but tools needed is one aspect of that. Well, we have the screw that holds down the assembly. That's very much like a Mitchell 302 type of a screw. Now you're going to have a backpedaling the adjuster that screws on. Then we have a series of drag washers inside the spool, and you can remove the spool at this part. Well, following the instructions, it says that the next thing you would want to do is to remove this collar. Well, if you look at this collar, it's a beautiful piece of, I believe, brass. There is a pin here. It is so well machined that unless you really had a good eye to this, you couldn't even find the pin on here. Well, that's part number one of my issues. I don't have a punch or a push that'll allow me to push that thing through to grab that pin and remove that out. Once that pin is out, you can, from my understanding, pull the plate up on this. But I'm looking at it here and I'm just not sure how that would work. You do have a trip mechanism on this one held in place by a spring, and as I rotate the cuff here, I do notice that I get to a certain, whoop, just went past it. Right there, there's 2 screws in here that I believe are holding this assembly on. And that's probably what you need to do next. You probably need to pull this off, pull those 2 screws that are there. You might be able to see them and you may not. It's one is right under that point there, the other one is back a little bit. You would pull this assembly off, but you can't pull this assembly off without removing that. And I don't have the punch or the push for that pin, and again, that's so well machined that you can't even see the pin there without reading those instructions. All right, well, if I had done that and succeeded, I still won't have the answer, because this is definitely a gear knock of some description. I've tried some things. I took the spring off of the rotor here, thinking maybe this was the cause of it, maybe it was bottoming out and so on, but it's not. It's not the issue there. Okay, so what do they tell you to do next? Well, the next thing they tell you to do is to go ahead and remove the main gear from here. Well, guess what? That don't have the pin or the courage maybe to knock this thing through presents itself again. There are 2 pins on this handle now. You'll see the big pin, but that doesn't need to be removed. It's right here. That's the easy one, I guess. But underneath that, and again, so well done, it's hard to even see that it's here. There's a pin right here that needs to be pushed through. That's the one that needs to be removed, not the one up top here, the one below. You remove that and that pulls this whole handle assembly off. That frees your gear inside, and then you need to remove the main gear. Well, how do you do that on a fully formed side plate? Well, you do it like this. If I can find my micro driver. And you need a micro driver here. There's 2 screws holding what appears to be the badge on. It is the badge. It doesn't appear to be. It is the badge. And while I'm doing this, if you like these kinds of videos, even the ones that, well, maybe it doesn't result in a repair, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting a video. And, well, you'll have a chance to see how the reels are serviced. They generally include a full service, which means you take it apart, you clean it, you inspect the pieces for wear, you replace any broken parts, and you come on back and do the reinstall of that after it's been cleaned and re-lubed. All right, well, this little badge should come up now. And again, with anything that's any kind of value to it, you want to just make sure that you're always keeping these pieces and parts nearby, and go from there. All right, so what this tells me then is to pull the cotter pin right here. There's a little pin holding that onto the stud of the main gear. Let's see if we can get that in frame. Pull this pin. That will release the piece here. Once that piece is released, you can come in through the screw on the bottom and pull that out of the way, or take it off. There is another cotter pin down here. With that piece removed, you can push through. If you've taken the handle off, you can push through the main gear and bring that out. So here's the second issue that I've encountered here. In order to move this back, the instructions are to use the special tool. Well, I don't know where the special tool to this one is. I don't know what the special tool is, even to say that I could substitute something to make that the working. And then the last one, it said, I quit. After you remove this with a special tool and you've pulled this out, apparently there are free running ball bearings in the track underneath these. And there's a high word of caution inside this, how to take this apart and strip it, and is watch out for falling ball bearings. Well, there's a couple of those that are out there that folks have seen. I know there's some old Mitchells out there, like the Mitchell 400 series, where folks have decided that it was okay to take the nut off the bottom of that pinion gear, which housed those free race bearings, and it's been nothing but headaches and problems. Well, again, based on the value of the reel and based on my level of confidence in working on this, that's something I just, I'm going to say discretion is the better part, right? So we're not going to be able to get to this. I'd love to take this main gear out. I'd love to see, I'm thinking it's a broken tooth. As I rotate, it's stuck right here for whatever reason. And then as we rotate through that, it sticks here. And you can hear the knock. So what we're kind of doing is we're watching the spin and where the knock is occurring. Now generally, if it was just one tooth on that main gear, it would only knock when it got to a certain part of the engagement. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking underneath here to the pinion gear. This is a spiral drive pinion gear. And I'm looking to see if there's any evidence that maybe that pinion gear is scarred. Well, there's a catch point there. And I'm not seeing it. So I'm thinking one or more teeth on that main gear is probably the cause of the sticking issue. But that's going to go unresolved by me. We're going to turn this over to somebody who has that confidence level and has that special tool and has worked on these before. And sometimes it's just okay to say, I can't do this one. I have a lot of reels that come in to me for servicing that are reel in the bag projects. They're reel in the bag projects because people started out strong and didn't finish through either lack of knowledge, lack of information, or just general forgetfulness. So I completely understand the kind of the want and the desire to persevere, but in this case, this one's got me. So Dick, thank you for sending me a lesson. The lesson is reinforcing what I've said all along. I don't know it all. I don't pretend to know it all. I'd like to know it all. But sometimes the best thing that you can learn is to kind of step back. That's what we're going to do here. So thank you for sending it. This has been fun. I've never seen this reel before. And anybody who knows what that special tool is, if anybody knows what punch set to use to remove those pins, or if there's a driver out there that would help move it, much like one of the drivers for a push pin on a bearing on a spool of, say, a low-profile bait caster, well, that would be welcome. So to each and every one of you out there, well, lessons learned. I appreciate all of you watching, and in this case, we're at the end of what I can do with this reel in explaining why I can't service it. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I wish everybody well in their endeavors. Hopefully you don't run into these stumpers all the time, and if you do, well, call out, leave a question in the comment section. I'll see if I can help you out of it, but sometimes you're going to have to help me, and that's probably the example here. To all of our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you do to keep us safe. And to all, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching, and have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.